Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Non-Classic. This episode number 2450 and Doubleshot number 44. Now, we're here starting a run and the end of a series, well, for particular viewing. Yeah, the end of a series, the final epic collection discussed for Avengers. Yes, the last, but first, we're talking about Peter David's run. Which this run will pretty much consume, from what I can tell, pretty much the rest of the series. Yep. First up we have is Marvel Visionaries, The Incredible Hulk by Peter David, Volume 1, which collect issues 331 to 339. Those of you might be thinking, like, when you think of this run, people think of the Joe Fixit stuff. Well, that hasn't happened yet. This is basically issues 331 to 339. Now, the first thing, now, by the way, Peter David, like I mentioned, so he's in writing here. The artwork is done by Todd McFarlane. Peter David mentioned basically he enjoyed working with a young Todd McFarlane in this book. Yep. So, most of the put, Hulk goes gray in these issues, and he stays gray for quite a while. And they reestablished the fact that Hulk basically goes gray at night. Not like whenever he feels like when he gets angry. Just at night. And also, apparently, they have sort of a very hate relationship with each other. Like, yeah, getting him so whatever. So, the first thing they resolve here, pretty much from the onset at the start of this book, is they resolve the whole thing of basically Rick Jones being basically being the Hulk. There's also this guy in here who his name is Ramon, and claims to be Betty Ross's husband, despite the fact she got married to Bruce Banner, not long before this. Yeah, at one point, basically, Bruce tries to, because Bruce is a bit weak, but Rick Jones has no problem fighting this guy. Why? Because he was a former partner of Captain America. Yeah, and Ramon himself actually is swiftly kicked out of this series with these issues. Yeah, he's gone. Like, as soon as the series as soon as issue 339 wraps up, he is gone from the series. Never to heard of him again. It's like he's brought in by John Byrne to be a red herring, and then, like, appears here at the start of this run, and he just disappears. Yeah, and also some other stuff happens here, like Hulk escapes from the Gamma base. Maybe he's still in charge of the Gamma base. He gets sort of, they sort of have in his mind get reabsorbed, and at one point he has to deal with X Factor these issues. Yes, X Factor. Yep, but that doesn't happen right away. Oh no! Basically, we're still with the Hulk process. The leader is back here. Yeah, and of course he gets repowered, and the whole thing with the Hulk Marine Jones, that's actually completely concluded by 332. It's almost like basically like, and also 333 has this thing where they introduce this guy called Mike White. Yes, he is this town sheriff who is also very abusive to his wife. The reason it beats up his wife because she was unable to have children for some reason. So his response was beating her up every night. And of course being a bully to his own town. He claims to be the safest town, despite the fact he's a big bully. Hulk basically doesn't care for him. He basically, and by the way, he fights the Hulk. And the Hulk wins. So his wife's response is to shoot him. And he dies. Yep. As his wife, meanwhile, though, She is never seen again after this. It's almost like, okay, let's just basically throw in a domestic thing issue in this issue and just have it here. Interesting idea. Does not go anywhere at all. Yeah, and by like 339, they pretty much basically excised the whole Hulkbuster unit. My guess is Peter David didn't like that very much, so, and then we have first appearance of a character with Half-Life. Yeah. Makes first appearance here. He actually returns, like, he's not here very much, though, and of course also the whole thing later on with the whole thing with dealing with X Factor. Yeah, and basically, this would lead into a confrontation with X Factor, like, not long after this. And we have first appearance of the Stalker. It's almost like, hey, let's have Hulk escape from that Gamma base just to find random people for an issue. And in 336, this is where we counter X Factor for the next few issues. Also, Hulkbusters disband with issue 337. Yep, they pretty much get disbanded with this issue. Yeah, though they briefly come back for 343. That was only a flashback, but my guess is this is probably something Peter David didn't like very much, so he figured, though, just get rid of it. They're basically just interfering with his work. So they get disbanded, and then basically we deal with the whole corruption of S.H.I.E.L.D. We also first appearance of Mercy. Yes, Mercy. A character who shall show a breakback for his run for Thunderbolts. Yeah, this is her debut appearance. And then she appears in Hulk Annual. Actually, it was Danny Way brought her back. Yeah, Danny Way did. And basically, she's basically a recurring character in this book until issue 22. The Thunderbolts, anyways. Yes. I'll get back to Mercy. Don't worry about that. It's actually in a storyline, which is Peter David wrote. It's probably collected one of the next books for Hulk. Yep. And then we have the last appearance of Alexander Wincott. Yeah. Yeah, this is his one return after Peter Parker Second Summer 118. Yep, and it's also last time we see Ramon. Yeah, he was somebody that he was probably told to put in the book, and they just had him here. I mean, the best thing that happened to him is that he guys butt-handed him by Rick Jones. It's like, don't mess with former partner Captain America, because he was trained by him. Which, yeah, I guess Peter David felt this out. Yeah, let's get these issues out of the way and just move on something else. This is probably just a starting period mostly. But then the book comes quite interesting afterwards. But don't worry about that. But yeah, excellent start to this run. Yeah, it's almost like you could say that these first 9 issues is like Peter David just trying to wrap up stuff basically he probably wasn't a fan of. I don't know if he was a fan of the Hulkbusters or not, because they were prominent feature throughout the book before he came on the book. He probably was not a fan of them at all. He probably felt as though they were necessary. Once, of course, Hulk emerged, it's like they were probably necessary for a time. He probably felt this like, what was the point of having people here? Also, before he started his official run, I forgot to mention his last Epic Collection, the one before this. Thunderbolt Ross gets killed off here by the leader. Well, basically, Nick's Gamma Rage. Yeah. General Ross dies. Like, just before the official start of Peter David's run. Now, he did do 329. He did do that, but that was basically a one-off. Al Milgrom basically killed him off here. And then he returned. You think, oh, is he here? Oh, he appears as a corpse. But he doesn't fully come back to much, much later. Yeah, basically, there's like basically sort of return for him much later. Now, if you're really curious, when is the whole thing of like Hulk becoming like a bouncer? I'm not sure yet, but they'll probably explain this later. Okay, so there's that. By the way, I give the Hulk Visionaries book a 10 out of 10. It was really good. Next up we have is the final Epic Collection for Avengers. Come on. you please work? Which collect issues 286 to 303, along with Annual 17. Mostly put in these issues, we mostly just have, well, if you look at it, basically from 286 to about 297 mostly. This is the beginning of the end of this incarnation of the roster. Now, Captain Marvel basically is sort of summoned by a whole team, deal with a robot mostly. It's a very weird set of issues mostly for the start of it. Yeah, Marna joins the roster with 286. Marna, who was Submariner's wife. Yeah, the lamp when you start this book, it's basically Black Knight, Captain Marvel, this is Monica Rambeau, Dr. Drood, Marna, the Submariner, and She-Hulk. And you're thinking, wait, where's Iron Man? Where's Captain America? Where's Thor? Thor comes back briefly for one off issue. He comes back later. Don't worry about that. And of course, basically, deal with like the Fixer. And the Epic Collection is called Heavy Metal. It's just a name after the group is only here for a couple issues. And most of the they take on basically the Sentry, Adaptoid, Machine Man, who's basically part of the Heavy Metal group, Test 1, and also Android. Really good start here. And then Captain America basically comes back, though this is when he was the captain. This was something that Mark Green was doing in the book, where he had it where Steve Rogers stopped being Captain America for a couple years, and the costume went over to John Walker. And we also have basically where 290, the first appearance of Adaptoid, is Super Adaptoid. And continue that storyline there with the whole robot stuff. Then we have a party issue. Then we have Kang Nebula. Oh boy, this character. A character who was actually, well, at one point, get this. For some strange reason, they decided to have where she joined the Avengers. For a very brief period of time. Also, Black Knight's basically like nulling after. It also this thing where, okay, Thor joins the roster, and Captain Marvel is later on written off the team because of an accident. So we have Dr. Drew take over leadership of the team. And you're thinking, really? Yes, really, he does this. Do some manipulation. Thor wants nothing to do with it at all. He just leaves. And also, Submariner leaves the team too. We have Marna supposedly dying, but don't worry, she comes back. Yeah, supposedly gets killed off in the arena, but she comes back not long after this. And then, of course, Captain Marvel herself leaves the team with 294. And this is where Dr. Drew leaves, becomes leader of the team. Black Knight, with like the very next issue, starts wearing this metal armor. They go into space. He wears his armor for some reason. Yeah, there's no reason why he has to wear this. He just does. And then Thor leaves the team because he gives basically a disturbance. And then basically by 296, beginning the end of this roster, yeah, we're basically reducing members for like no reason. And basically, the team just disbands. With issue 297, yeah, the team just disbands. And they're like, okay, no Avengers. So who's the Avengers Mansion? So basically, 298 is basically have Jarvis basically dealing with stuff related to Inferno. Yep, and then 299, we have the Captain along with two members of Fantastic Four. Team with him to take on demons. And then 300, in issue 300 for this book, we have a brand new Avengers team that lasts for about a couple years. Well, basically, it's the Captain, Gilgamesh, Miss Fantastic, Invisible Woman. It's basically like a 5-man team, and the cover is a slight homage to Avengers number 4, which is great. I love it. And of course, this is a great way to do 300 issue, and of course they have a loose retelling of basically the opening issue of the series, which is awesome. And then 301 and 303 begins by far one of the most weirdest storylines in the history of the book. The Supernova Saga. We have to deal with this character known as Supernova for the next few issues. Yes. And it's a 3-part storyline that he comes back in New Warriors. And, well, that's mostly anyways, but there is still also the annual. The annual mostly deals with the high evolution. It's dealing with the evolutionary war. Yep. We have Yellow Jacket join the roster along with Jocasta. Yeah, deal with that in the opening issue. And then the back. By the way, this actually is the finale for the evolutionary war. The backup issue is mostly all about the high evolutionary, which is great. I think High Evolutionary War is a really underrated story. It's not exactly a story that people talk about from the 80s. Yep. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, who are the creative team on this book at this period of time? Well, for 286, it's Roger Stern and Ralph Macchio. And this continues on for a little while. These two really good writers. Well, then Roger Stern leaves the book and Ralph Macchio basically comes to sole writer with 288. And this stays on here for quite a while. And then we have Mark Greenwald take over his co-writing duties with issue 290. Walt Simonson does basically from 291 to 293. Yeah, he does basically a 3-part story. Involves the whole thing with the female character. Yeah, he's here for a very brief period of time. I actually think he's here at about 297. It's almost like he was told, hey, let's basically get rid of this roster of Avengers because the big Avengers are not here. So then basically we have in 298, we have, well, still Walt Simonson take over the book. And it is like this until issue number 300. That was the last issue you wrote for the book. And then 301 basically like Mark Remo, Ralph Macchio. Bob Hall basically, now if your artwork for these issues. It's mostly done by, well, John Bushma. But I think he's like the main interior artist here for a little while. If you're thinking like when the heck does he leave? He's in this book into issue 300. That's the last issue he does. So he does come back for issue 385. But yeah, 300 is his last issue he does. As for 301, we have a brand new artist in the book. It is Bob Hall. He does the next 3 issues. And with these issues in particular, well done Avengers. By the way, I give this Epic Collection a 10 out of 10. Yeah, that Avengers. I'm all with the Avengers, which is awesome. So, what is replacing Avengers? Because basically I replaced Thor with Excalibur. Avengers is getting replaced with, of all things, X-Factor. Yep, X-Factor. I figured out why not. I love the idea of basically bringing X-Factor in here, so why not? I mean, Avengers was awesome. I have blast viewing the series. Now, I'm still reviewing Avengers, definitely, just basically not the older stuff. Basically, all the stuff was all completely up to date. So, just waiting for the next trade to come out for this one. Yep. So, yeah, that's particularly a particular view. I'm going to take a little break and come back to do one more Comic Corner. What's coming on? Well, it's going to be on 2 founding members of the Defenders. Which ones? Well, you're probably thinking, hey, well, but it's not Doctor Strange because you're done with him. True. Hulk is still doing. It's Silver Surfer and Submariner. You'll find out. Okay? Next video. Bye.